It's the old arch rivals, Essendon and Carlton, facing off in the last home and away round and probably the last realistic chance the Bombers have got to get a win. We're going to go through everything about the game right now.
See the Bombers fly up to win the premiership flag. Our boys who play this mighty game always strive for glory and fame.
I love this song.
So it's the Bombers and the Blues this week. Growing up, this was my favourite matchup. And for those who were born around the turn of the century, they probably wouldn't have any idea that this was the game of the season every year, pretty much in the 90s and the early 2000s. This was the big one. This was the big rivalry, more so than Collingwood. This was the one. We were the two biggest clubs and we were the two most successful clubs. And it has waned a little bit, we have to be honest, this rivalry, just due to the fact that both clubs have underperformed for such a long time. And, you know, I've always wanted to beat Carlton, perhaps more than any other team. It's probably changed a little bit. Wouldn't say I want them to win. I think that's be pushing it. I mean, let's not go crazy here. But I actually want to see both clubs up again playing big games against each other. That's, I think, something that would be actually good for the sport, good for the game. As much as we dislike the Blues, I think we all do tend to miss some of those big games in the 90s, the late 90s, the early 2000s, even going back to the 80s when we beat Carlton, 10 times in a row in the early 80s. And, John Elliott couldn't stand it that we kept on knocking them off every single year, time after time after time. Yeah, given that Kevin Sheedy was in his first 5 years unbeaten against Carlton right through to the mid-80s. They just couldn't lay a glove on us. And I do want to see both clubs back up there again, playing big games against each other. I think it would be healthy for the competition. I don't want to see Carlton win a premiership or anything like that, but I do want to see them, but both clubs just get that success again, because I do feel that they do sort of belong in the top half of the ladder historically. And I think it's something that, even if we don't admit it, we'd probably like to see both these teams playing some meaningful games against each other, rather than dead rubbers like the one on Thursday night that we're going to see. Having said that, I think there'll be a pretty decent crowd. It's not on free-to-air television, so unless you've got KO or Foxtel, and I think most people do these days if you're a football fan, but if you haven't got it, you're going to have to get to the game yourself. It's the last chance for both teams' supporters to go out there and support their teams. So I think there'll be a pretty decent crowd, somewhere between 60 and 70,000. This will be, and I counted this will be my 61st Essendon and Carlton game that I have attended in my life, number 61. And there's been about 4 draws in there, can you believe? And there's so many memorable games. They're probably responsible for more memorable moments than any other combination of teams for an Essendon supporter, from the games that I've attended anyway. And, that 99 preliminary final, I've got to admit, and Carlton supporters will probably like hearing this, I'm probably still not over that game. I'm really not over that game, and I probably never will. And it's not something you get over. I think you just learn to live with it. That's probably the way I would describe it. You don't get over it, you just learn to live with it. And that game, what a wasted opportunity that was. But anyway, here we are, Essendon and Carlton playing off in the last round. What are your memories of Essendon and Carlton games? Do you have any specific games that you loved? I always remember that game from 1998, probably my favourite home and away game between the two teams, when Stephen Silvani stuffed a kick up from full back and kicked it straight into the arms of Scott Lucas, who kicked it over his head for the winning goal to give us a 6-point win. I was going ballistic that day. It was very, very memorable. So just looking at the key stats between the two teams, well, as you would expect, Essendon on the bottom of the ladder, or fourth bottom with a percentage of 71, are going to trail most teams in a lot of the key stats. Carlton, though, have one particular advantage over us, and that is in the contested possessions. They've actually been a very, very good contested possession team this year. As you can see, they're plus 9.5 on their opposition. We are negative 1.5, so they average 10 more per game. If we can match them in that stat, then we probably win the game. That's probably one of their key strengths. And I did a list analysis at the start of the year with Carlton, and all the clubs actually, and Carlton have the least amount of depth in the competition. Their players ranked from around 18 to 30, if you rank players in order of quality from first through to 30, it falls away dramatically outside their top sort of 10 players. So once they start getting a few injuries, they just haven't been able to adapt. They just haven't got the quality on the bottom half of their list. We've had injuries as well, of course. Our top tier talent probably isn't as good as their top tier talent, but they haven't been able to adapt to injuries. Our depth is better than theirs. I just made a video yesterday, as some of you might have seen. I think we're going to have really good depth next year, and we've actually got pretty good depth right now with all the players who are being exposed to football. But yeah, that contested possessions, that's one area that Carlton are pretty good at, and if we can match them in that, we probably win the game. So are they going to have any changes? Well, Lord is going to come out of the side for Carlton. He was concussed, so he will go into concussion protocols. I'm not sure who's going to come in. Some of the people on the Carlton forums are talking about McGovern or Camporelli perhaps coming in. There's perhaps going to be a change, or at least one forced change there. As for the Bombers, well, this is going to be interesting because Laverde, of course, got subbed off. I don't think he's going to be able to get up for this game. I think it would be unlikely. So I think that brings in the opportunity for Kayle Gerreyn, who's been playing very, very well at the VFL level as a defender. He actually started the season as a forward/ruck Gerreyn, but he's been adapting very well and probably playing better in defence than he has in attack. And once again, this is another silver lining of these injuries. I've got no doubt whatsoever that had we not had these injuries, Kayle Gerreyn would not have been trialled as a backman. I think it's very unlikely anyway. You can't say for sure, but I think it's extremely unlikely. But out of necessity, we've played him down there to say, well, Kayle, what do you got? And he's been playing pretty well. And if Laverde's out, he's a natural to come in. Now, McKay is actually back into full training as well. So it's possible that Ben McKay can come back into the team. I think this would be a big call. But given that we are so light on defenders, I think it would probably be a necessary call to bring him back in if he's ready to go, even if he hasn't had a VFL game to get back into it. I mean, when you're so light on defenders, I mean, what do? Do you bring in a first gamer in Gerreyn, or do you bring back in a more experienced player in McKay who hasn't played for, 10, 12 weeks or so? Or do you bring in both? I don't know. That's going to be a big call. But if McKay's ready to go, like I haven't listed him as an in here, but if he's ready to go, I suspect, given that we've got Curnow and McKay to deal with, I don't think we want to leave that to Blackiston and Gerreyn. I mean, think about that for a minute, all right? Curnow and McKay were leaving it to a player that wasn't even on the list at the start of the year, and our 16th first gamer as essentially the two players that could, play a key defensive role on those two players. So I think if McKay is right to come back in, he probably should come back in. I'm just not sure he's 100% over his injury, even though all the reports are he was engaging back into full training. So I've got Merrett coming back in, I've got Shield coming back in, and I've got Gerreyn coming in for his first game at this stage, with just assuming that Mackay's not ready to go, but maybe he is. And I've got Menzie coming out. Menzie had a poor game, unfortunately, missed those shots. And I suspect he's probably going to get delisted. It's unfortunate, but that's probably what's going to happen. Gresham coming out and Laverde coming out as well. There was a bit of talk about McMahon. McMahon did train with a glove on. I think he'll be right to go. He'll be keen to play against his old team. I mean, look, he wasn't actually on Carlton's list. He was in the VFL team, but he would know a lot of the Carlton people. And I'd love to see him get out there in front of a big MCG crowd. He got his hands stomped on, but I would assume he'll be right to go. You would like to think that anyway. Sartis is another possibility. He was listed last week as being 1 week away, and that 1 week is now elapsed. So he might be ready to come back into the side as well, perhaps replacing, if Shield perhaps doesn't come back in, perhaps Sartis could come back in instead of Shield. That is another possibility. It's hard to say at this stage. I mean, Shield's obviously not part of the future for us. We don't know what is going to go on with Sartis. We are so inexperienced, though, that any experienced players that are there, I kind of feel that we kind of need them to play. But look, let me know in the comments what you guys think. There's lots of different ways we could do this. But certainly, Merrett will come back into the side, and I suspect the 16th first gamer, Gerreyn, will make his debut. So what do I think is going to happen in this game? Well, the key, of course, is stopping Carlton's big talls, and that is why Carlton are favourites in this game. They are about a 4-goal favourite. Now, that might be pushing it. I think we're a bit of a chance in this game. Greasy night, it might be hard to hold on to marks on a cold winter's night, that sort of thing. And look, even when Laverde went down, the defence held up pretty admirably in the back line against St Kilda. We kept the Saints to 11 goals, and even if we are, stretched down there, we're just going to have to double team those players when the ball gets down there, make it difficult for them, and try not to make them one-on-one contests all the time. If they devolve into one-on-one contests, then Curnow and McKay are going to, they're going to destroy us just because we are so young and inexperienced down there with so many players out. So if we can stop the forwards from Carlton, I think we're a good chance to win this game. We have had some success against Carlton unexpectedly in last rounds before. We beat them quite famously with a bunch of top-up players in 2016, and this is eerily familiar to that, although the circumstances are slightly different. This is a team kind of like the top-ups if you were to draw that comparison, and we won our third game of the season that year in 2016 in a very memorable win. I think this is the kind of match where we are more than capable of winning, but I just look at those tolls from Carlton down there and I just find it hard to see how we're going to stop them. But if we do, I think we can win. So what's my prediction for this game? Well, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to pick the Bombers to win by 1 point. That's it. The Bombers are going to win this game by a point in the last round. Carlton's record in the last home and away round, it should be added, is really, really poor. Over the last 20 years, they have only won 2 games in the last round of the year, and both of them were by 1 point. So they actually haven't won a game in the last round by more than a point for over 2 decades. So they don't finish the season particularly well, the Blues, and I think we're some sort of chance. I just want to see us play with the same sort of effort and desire that we've played for the last couple of weeks. Since the Bulldogs game, which was poor, which was a bit of an anomaly. I mean, we played okay against GWS. We played pretty well for 3 quarters against Gold Coast. Perhaps should have beaten St Kilda. We played far better than what we expected against Geelong. So Brad Scott has got this team playing with some desire and playing with some heart. And that's all you can ask as a supporter. We can't really ask for more from the players than what they've been giving us this week. And it does give us a little bit of optimism moving into next year with so many of these players being exposed to senior AFL football. So I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know what your favourite memories of Essendon versus Carlton are. What do you think is going to happen in this game? Who do you think is going to be selected in this team? Do you think anyone in particular should be dropped? How are we going to handle the defensive aspect of the game, stopping Carlton's 2 big tolls? Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy the match. And as always, go Bombers.